Bushido Shoshinshu, Code of the Samurai. Chapter 4. Principles of Warriors. In the Code of Warriors, there are two kinds of principles, with 4 levels. The two kinds of principles are ordinary principles and emergency principles. The ordinary principles include principles of knighthood and principles of weaponry. The emergency principles include army principles and combat principles. The principles of knighthood include washing your hands and feet and bathing morning and night, keeping your body clean, shaving and dressing your hair every morning, dressing formally according to the season and circumstances, and always keeping your fan in your belt, not to mention your long and short swords. When dealing with guests, you treat them courteously according to their status, and avoid useless talk. Even when you partake of a bowl of rice or a cup of tea, you are always careful not to be slovenly. If you are in public service, when off duty you do not simply lounge around. You read, practice calligraphy, contemplate ancient stories or ancient warrior codes. Whether you are walking, standing still, sitting down, or reclining, in your conduct and manner you carry yourself in a way that exemplifies a genuine warrior. As for the principles of weaponry, the first thing to learn is swordsmanship, then lancing, riding, archery, shooting, and any other martial arts. Your duty is to study, practice, and master them, so you can be ever ready with them. Once you have cultivated these 2 levels, the principles of knighthood and the principles of weaponry, you lack nothing in the way of ordinary principles. In the eyes of ordinary people you will seem like a good warrior, worthy of employ. However, warriors are fundamentally emergency men. When there is a civil disturbance, they set aside their usual knightly ways for the moment, adopt military terminology for their superiors, comrades, and subordinates, doff their formal suits and put on armor, take up weapons, and head for the enemy's ground. There are all sorts of manners and forms of doing this, collectively referred to as army principles. It is imperative to know these. Next are combat principles. When your enemies and allies clash in battle, if your dispositions and maneuvers work as planned, you gain victory. Otherwise, you lose the advantage and suffer defeat. There are traditional secrets to these various maneuvers and dispositions. These are called combat principles. It is imperative to know them. Army principles and combat principles are the 2 levels of emergency principles. A warrior who has cultivated the 4 levels of ordinary and emergency principles to perfection is considered a top-class knight. If you have accomplished the 2 levels of ordinary principles, you are competent for service as a knight. But if you have not mastered the 2 levels of emergency principles, you cannot be a samurai commander, a group leader, a magistrate, or anything like that. Accordingly, making this distinction, to become an all-around warrior it is essential to practice the principles of knighthood and weaponry, as well as the inner secrets of army and combat principles, determining never to give up without having become a top-class knight. The end of Chapter 4.